In scriptures, the human body is often referred to as the temple of God. Yet, it is quite an uncommon privilege for any soul to attain the sacred abode that houses the divine, as it is truly a blessing to be reborn as a human being. On several occasions, Supreme Master Ching Hai has spoken about the rarity of this phenomenon.
To be reincarnate in the human world is hard. You have to have enough human quality. You have to have affinity with the parents, yeah, and with the society, with the people around which you were born. And very difficult. To be a human, you need some merit. You have done something good in the past in order to be able, yeah, to be able to pick a human birth.
As a living temple of God, the human body is fully equipped with miraculous wonders that can be awakened in those who are spiritually conscious and have complete faith in the Creator of all life. Inadia, Latin for fasting, is the human ability to live without food. Since time immemorial, there have always been individuals who can sustain themselves on prana, or the vital life force. Through the grace of the providence, inadiates, people who follow a food-free lifestyle, can draw the energy from nature to nourish themselves.
They live on the chi, from the ground, or from the forest, and from the sun and from the air. They make use of all that. Or they live on love, on faith alone.
These individuals are known as Breatharians, or Pranarians or Inadiates, Solarians or Watarians, and they come from all walks of life, from different cultures and all corners of the world. Indeed, the possibilities and miracles in this life, as our benevolent Creator has designed for us, are endless. We only need to connect within to recognize our abounding largesse as God's children. Supreme Master Ching Hai has lovingly recommended a weekly series on Supreme Master Television to introduce those individuals of the past and present who have chosen to live food-free on earth. May their spiritual stories enthrall you, may hearts be opened and horizons be expanded. We now invite you to join us for part 2 of our 2-part program, Blessed Helen Enselmini and Elizabeth the Good, Breatharians through Noble Ideals, on Between Master and Disciples.
This program discusses the possibility of breatharianism, or living without eating food, and is not a full instruction. For your safety, please do not attempt to cease eating without proper expert guidance.
In the history of Catholicism, there existed quite a few saints and well-known individuals who, as a result of their pure love for Jesus or complete devotion to God, were able to dispense with the need for physical food, sustaining themselves solely on the grace of God. According to the Catholic Church,
Enidia is the abstinence from all nourishment for great lengths of time. Among the saints, this gift is usually manifested as the ability to exist for months or years with no food but Holy Communion.
Blessed Helen Enselmini of Archela, Italy, led such a life as an Enediate. In part 1, we learned that she was greatly influenced by the selfless ideals of Saint Francis of Assisi. Together with her friend Clare of Assisi and another female companion, they became the first members of the Second Franciscan Order of Poor Ladies, which later became known as Poor Clares, Poor Ladies, or the Sisters of St. Clare. As a Poor Clare, Blessed Helen Enselmini practiced daily mortification, prayer, and meditation with the belief that they would lead her closer to God. Unlike others in the monastery, she took a step further in her devotion to God by giving up food and drink as a personal sacrifice on behalf of humankind. Blessed Helen Enselmini's path to becoming food-free was gradual. She started out by fasting for several months at a time, surviving on the grace of God with just the wafer-thin Holy Communion. She deeply believed that her asceticism and material sacrifice would minimize or alleviate the sufferings and burdens of others. Supreme Master Ching Hai has often discussed the significance of developing our wisdom and achieving spiritual growth through our selfless actions of serving others.
Take care of our moral responsibilities. Help our neighbors as much as we can. Sacrifice some of our wealth, our palate desires, in order to help developing the world and help the other needy brothers and sisters. In this way, we contribute our effort to build a better nation in the future generation to come. But we can try now. We can try tomorrow. And see how things go. See how better we feel, how beneficial to our nation and to the world at large. But this should be done. The precepts should accompany wisdom. The good deeds and thought and speech should accompany by meditation on God's quality, by know-how to tune in with the storehouse of God's quality.
When Between Master and Disciples returns in just a moment, we will examine the benevolent life of Elizabeth the Good, who had also chosen to live food-free as a selfless service to others. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television.
This program discusses the possibility of breatharianism, or living without eating food, and is not a full instruction. For your safety, please do not attempt to cease eating without proper expert guidance.
Welcome back to today's episode of Between Master and Disciples. Let's continue with our feature, Blessed Helen Enselmini and Elizabeth the Good, Breatharians through Noble Ideals. Blessed Helen Enselmini continued her life abstaining from food and liquids for almost 20 additional years. In 1242, while in her early 40s, she peacefully passed away due to natural causes. The Catholic Church recognized her selfless acts by placing her remains in a glass coffin within the Church of San Nicola Arcella. Just as Blessed Helen Enselmini grew into an example of the amazing blessings that God bestows upon those who dedicated their time with understanding the Holy Spirit, Blessed Elizabeth Acklear, also known as Betha, the Good, received the gift of Anidia. Both happened to follow the order of St. Francis, and both sacrificed their comforts with the intention to help others. On November 25th, 1386, a baby girl was born at Waldi, Württemberg, in the town of Swabia, Germany. Her parents, John and Anne Acklear, named their daughter Elizabeth, which means worshipper of God. Elizabeth the Good grew up in a poor household that did not support her desire to follow a religious path. Despite the obstacles, her heart remained pure and focused on God. She studied under the guidance of her confessor, Conrad Kugelin, provost of the Canons Regular of St. Augustine in St. Peter's Catholic Church. In her early teens, Elizabeth the Good perfected her spiritual awareness. She became a Franciscan tertiary by the time she was 14 years old. She begged for permission from her parents to leave the family home and live with the other women of the Third Order of St. Francis. Elizabeth the Good's parents finally consented. A pious tertiary house took her in, and Elizabeth the Good earned her keep by weaving fabrics alongside the owner and other sisters. The little money they earned was not enough to provide a comfortable lifestyle. For 3 years, the tertiary sisters lived a humble existence in poverty without adequate food and provisions. Elizabeth the Good's confessor and mentor, Conrad Kugelin, opened a convent for tertiaries in Reita, which was located outside Waldi. Elizabeth the Good and 4 fellow tertiaries moved to Rita, where they deepened their spiritual growth by living in seclusion. Each member of the convent contributed to the maintenance of running the home, with Elizabeth the Good working in the kitchen. She soon gained the nickname the Recluse. Extending her devotion beyond the daily lessons and practices, Elizabeth the Good spent long hours in the garden, prostrating on a hard stone in deep prayer and contemplation. She experienced ecstasies where her physical body remained in place, yet her inner consciousness received visions of heaven and purgatory. Her confessor at the Franciscan tertiary respected Elizabeth the Good's purity and considered her above absolution. Her devotion to God revealed itself in the signs of the stigmata, whereby the marks of the Passion with open wounds like those suffered by Jesus Christ while on the cross appeared on Elizabeth the Good's body. Cuts materialized around her head as though she wore a crown of thorns. Painful wounds experienced by Jesus Christ during the scourging opened on her body. Although Elizabeth the Good suffered from the agony of crucifixion at all times, the wounds opened and bled only on Fridays and during Lent. Just as Blessed Helen Enselmini experienced miracles in her life as a result of her selfless sufferings, Elizabeth the Good also fasted with such devotion that she acquired the gift of Anidia. Living without food and liquids through God's grace is considered to be a gift because without the desire and need for food, Elizabeth the Good purified her body and mind to such a high level of consciousness that her spiritual awareness expanded. Heavens rewarded Elizabeth the Good's purification and piousness by revealing to her the peace and joy of those who are blessed by God. She had also gained much knowledge through her visions of souls recovering in purgatory. After a period of time, Elizabeth was also given the gift of prophecy. She could accurately predict events in the future and could see through people's hearts. Elizabeth the Good remained humble throughout her life, never proud with regard to the gifts from the divine providence. Her confessor recorded her life, and the Bishop of Constance acknowledged her prophecies. On November the 25th, 1420, Elizabeth the Good died of natural causes in Rita, Germany, and there she was buried at the local Catholic Church. In 1623, a provost of Valdi opened her tomb, and the citizens of Swabia venerated her for having a miraculous lifestyle. Thereafter, accounts of miracles from worshippers of God were attributed to her. The Holy See ratified her ability to bring about miracles, and she was beatified on July 19, 1766, as Elizabeth the Good by Pope Clement XIII. The 25th day of November marked a memorial or feast day for Franciscans. Through their noble ideals and sacrifice in the service of others, Blessed Helen Enselmini and Elizabeth the Good achieved an inner tranquility that only comes to those whose lives and thoughts are immersed in their love for God. Indeed, their complete and unquestionable faith in God had given them the ability to live food-free, relying on the grace of God as their only source of sustenance. Though they never sought the honor, living modestly by sacrificing all physical needs and comfort as a pledge to bear the suffering of their fellow beings, Breatharians Blessed Helen Enselmini and Elizabeth the Good were honored by the Catholic Church. We appreciate your wise company for today's episode of Between Master and Disciples. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for good people, good works, coming up after noteworthy news. In God's boundless blessings, may you continue on your path of higher consciousness. Farewell until next time.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/BMD.